Hey guys, welcome back to the Kampai Sugai podcast. My name is Gavin, and today I got someone super special with me today. Someone that I grew up listening to. My mom definitely grew up listening to because, and I grew up listening to him because of my mom. So, we used to go, little story, we used to go birthday bash every year.
Oh, dang.
Family tradition.
Okay.
Literally, we can get into that too. But yeah, birthday bash was, so when they stopped doing birthday bash, it was a big bummer for us, but it was something that we would go to every year. So
it was a big bump for us too.
Yeah. So without further ado, you guys might have guessed it already. We have someone who is the former morning radio personality for Hawaiian 105 KINE. Oh, I'm getting tongue-tied over here. Former program director and morning show on KCCN FM 100, weekend weather anchor and entertainment reporter for Hawai'i News Now, and hosted some big events such as Merrie Monarch, Na Hoku Hanohano Awards, even Miss Hawai'i Pageant, and he's been an MC for so many different events. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause for Mr. Billy V.
Yay! Well, thank you very much for the introduction.
Of course.
Awesome.
You deserve it.
Well, first of all, thank you for coming to Birthday Bash.
Yes.
Did you have fun?
Of course. Well, I was underage, so there's a whole section by the bathrooms, all people drunk over there.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
But, I never thought much of it. Like, I would go by myself and hang out with people, but they were all drunk. I never thought of it until now. Like, wow, all those guys I was talking to were all drunk. So.
Wow. and wow, your mom. What's your mom's name?
Michelle.
Michelle?
Yeah.
Hi, Michelle. How are you? Thank you for coming to Birthday Bash. Thank you for being at all those concerts.
She's gonna love that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, how old are you when you started coming to Birthday Bash?
Wow. I gotta think now. I gotta think if I can remember when I went, because I probably went when I was a baby too, but I just never remembered going there. So I guess maybe 8.
Who was your favorite artist from Birthday Bash?
Natural Vibrations is always going to be my favorite artist, favorite band from contemporary Hawaiian music of all time.
Wow.
Natural Vibrations. And I love that they ended the show too.
Yeah, they were solid. When they did the song Balls Rolling, the crowd would go off.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Natural Vibrations. And then Kapena, Kapena was, I would love to have Kapena on the show too, actually. Actually, it's funny because both groups are Kaneohe people. So
yeah, that's right. Gosh, all the Kapena kids grew up right down the road here.
Yeah.
And now look at them.
Yeah.
Engineers. Kalena Ku's on Hawaii Island, and she runs the Kapena music, and family's talented. Hi, Lilo. They're awesome.
They're super awesome. But yeah, like thinking about that time back then. I mean, it wasn't that too far back from, like, if I think about it, but it was such a big time for, like, Hawaiian music, especially KCCN FM 100. Like, talk about that, like, experience for you, like Birthday Bash and how you guys started, and and then even to the days until it closed, or you guys did the last one.
Well, many people may not remember, but there was a time when Hawaiian music wasn't like on the radio 24/7. So it was only 1420 a.m. and they would only go to midnight before they went 24 hours. And I got a chance to work there. But a very dear friend of mine, my kumu, Skylark, Honolulu Skylark, she got us together, and we put the radio on along with the general manager, Michael Kelly. KCCN FM 100 put that on the air first May 14th, 1990.
Wow.
And from that period on, just the music just blew up from the moment that we went on the air. It changed everything. We decided to celebrate our first birthday with a birthday bash. And from that first concert, it was like it never looked back. You had Hawaii KINE, you had Brother Walter was huge then. And so, and just every year, we knew we had that. It was a lot of work, but it was the most fun. And it's when we got to see all of our listeners.
What, was it always at the Shell?
It was, no, it wasn't. Before it became the Birthday Bash, we had all of these concerts that were called the Hawaiian Jam concerts, and they used to be held at Aloha Tower.
Wow.
So they used to have this escalator that used to go up to the second deck of Aloha Tower, and it would be so packed. The line would go back at least a mile or more.
Oh, wow.
To go into the venue.
Oh.
Tickets would sell out like wildfire as soon as they were announced. There were some crazy times over there, but that was actually how it started, and we eventually outgrew Aloha Tower.
Wow. Yeah, especially if you guys are going a mile wide deep with people standing in line. You know,
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So how did you get the name Billy V? I mean, I think a lot of people would want to know how you got that name.
So I used to be called my regular name, Billy Van Osdal. I got the nickname the Kid from Kona because I actually come from Kona on the Big Island originally.
Okay.
And so I had that probably from when I got here in 1986 all the way to 1990, about 1992 or so. Robert Kikaula used to do my sports reports in the afternoons. He was working, of course, on television in sports. And so he would do my reports in the afternoon. One day, you know, because my name, you know, saying Billy Van Osdal, for a lot of people just doesn't roll off the tongue. You got it right away when we were talking.
I thought it rolled off the tongue, honestly.
But so Robert just all of a sudden one day called me Billy V. He says, okay, Billy V. Next thing you know, the phone line started ringing like right away. And the first person to pick up, Billy V! Next one, Billy V! And by the time we took the 15th call, I looked over and I looked at a friend of mine and I just says, okay, we have something here. And from that day on, that was it.
Wow.
That was my name. So actually, that's Robert Kikaula to thank for that. Robert, by the way, Kamehameha Schools grad. He is my classmate. We went to school together back in Kona in elementary. He left to go to Kamehameha. He came back to us in junior year, and then he graduated senior year from Kamehameha.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
Small world, man.
Robert has always been solid, and from 6th grade, we all knew that I wanted to be in radio, and he wanted to be in TV. He loved sports. He wanted to be CBS's Brent Musburger at the time.
Really?
And that was him. And he went for it, and he has been solid and continues to be. Because, I mean, it's even though he's not here with us, I mean, still, it's, you know, he's still here with us.
He is the sport. He is the voice of sports radio for Hawaii.
Yeah. And he had that way. As soon as you heard his voice, you know it was him.
Yeah.
And he had a way of talking to everybody. He could reach everybody.
How did you ever see him like study certain things for like sports and like articles and stuff?
Not really, because in the time that he was studying, well, you know what? I take that back. We were neighbors. We lived right next to each other in the same apartment complex in the, what is that area? I say it's not Kaimuki, it's Makiki area.
Oh, okay.
It's right by Ke'eomoku Street. Oh gosh. Anyway, it's below Roosevelt High School. So couple of streets down. So we lived there in the building, and he was watching sports nonstop. I swear he had 2 screens going on at the same time. Every time I came home, I always had music blaring. He always had the TV on. He was always watching sports.
All right, wow. So Billy V, I mean, that's such a, it rolls off the tongue. I still think Van Osdal is a great name.
Thank you.
Honestly.
my mom and dad think so thank you. I appreciate that.
What is that? Is that what kind? Is it like French? Or?
Well, it's actually out of Holland. It's Dutch.
Okay.
So my son is a junior in college. So he's actually researching that right now, and we've kind of gone back to the 1600s.
Wow. Okay.
So he's actually in Europe right now, so he's doing a little bit of that research while he goes to school. So we have still yet to find out how far back we can go on the family tree.
That's pretty cool, though. You can trace it back to 1600s.
Yeah, we didn't think we were going to go that far. That's the Hole side of the family. We can trace back our roots On the Hawaiian side, back to Kauai and Ni'ihau, back to when Hawaiians were like just one single name, or some were just one single name. So we go back on that side. The Filipino side takes us down in that direction, and so that kind of takes up and solves everything, I think.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Dutch, Filipino, Hawaiian.
Well, Hawaiian, Filipino, French, English, Irish, Dutch, German. There's a little bit of American Indian there somewhere. I think that's it. So, yeah.
That's like me. I have like a little bit of African American in there.
Wow, really?
1%.
Okay, and the other is?
I'm Japanese Filipino.
Nice.
Yep.
Okay, very good.
But I recently took a DNA test, and I guess some
Those
of
are
it
scary.
is Chinese, so which is cool.
Wow.
But that's how I found the African American as well, or just maybe just Black African. So
wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
very interesting.
Nice.
Yeah. So, but it's interesting because 80% of it traces back to China, but different provinces. So like Western China, Eastern province, Northeast, Southeast. So it's very interesting.
So from all over the place.
Yeah.
Very
Well,
good.
in China at least,
Yeah.
and then Japanese, and then Filipino is interesting. I guess my Filipino roots maybe came from China.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay. So go back and find out if you get family, if you get free
Yeah.
food somewhere. Right?
You know, it's interesting. So Sugai in Hawaii, like on Oahu specifically, there's maybe 3-4 different families,
Okay.
but like we're not all related. And my brothers and sisters, they don't know that side. But then I've met some of them, like Kahalu side. I know there's a Sugai family. Just bump into them, or there's Pearl City. Whatchamacallit, Kapahulu. So it's kind of interesting because I'll bump into Sugais now, and then I'll be like, oh, wow, we're not related, at least directly, but maybe somewhere up
back.
the tree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just know 81 grad, Konawaina, Big Island. There's a Kelly Sugai
Yeah,
who
okay.
married my classmate, Curtis Dahl. Hi, Curtis. How you, ba? So just know that you might have family on Big Island.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
That's pretty cool. And my dad, he traced maybe some of the Sugai lineage to, I guess, some plantation workers in like old Hawaii,
Okay.
before it was colonized and everything. So it's kind of interesting. And I guess he's seen it at Bishop Museum, and I'm like, wow, where is this? So I gotta figure out where that is. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So you'll probably find out that you were part of the original boatload that came over to Hawaii from somewhere then.
Maybe, yeah,
That's awesome.
or maybe even before that. I don't know.
Whoa. Very
So
good.
It's pretty trippy. But I want to kind of go into your radio broadcasting, because that's something that's, I think you were like a pioneer of just Hawaiian, KCCN FM 100 was huge. Hawaiian 105 KINE, huge. But like, what got you into radio broadcasting?
I actually wanted to be in radio since I was 6th grade.
Oh, okay.
6th grade, I was listening to Kamasami Kong on radio station KKUA. Dave Lancaster was on KKUA. I was just listening to a whole bunch of these guys, and what I was hearing on the other side of the radio, it sounded like a party going on. I mean, they were playing all my favorite music. They were giving away, having contests. They had sounded like they had a studio audience, but it was my playground and my escape from what I was doing in Kona. So I would sit every single night next to the radio, and I was so excited. I would be there. They started the show at 6. I was there at like 5:59, 5:58,
Oh,
sometimes 5:50. Just sitting and waiting. But from back at that time, I knew I wanted to be in radio. So I started chasing that as a freshman, as a senior. I got hired right after graduation, worked at a station over on the Big Island, came over to Honolulu, didn't have a job, started pounding the pavement. My first job was at KCCN Radio,
Wow.
AM 1420. I was hired as a news person.
Oh, okay.
So I would be a news person there for a month, met Skylark, who would eventually become my radio kumu, followed her to Coral Radio, Met Crash Kealoha, who was the premier program director ever of Hawaiian music. And so from there, back to KCCN, over to Crater, where I got to work with Dan Cook in Austin Valley. Then we put KCCN FM 100 on the radio.
Wow.
I was just the music director. Skylark was the boss. She was the on-air. She was our anchor. Culturally, she was our anchor. Radio-wise, radio thinking, she was our anchor. But through time, I got to work with a whole bunch of amazing people. Some of them that I still work with and still have see a lot, even now. I know that, people like Iokia Bright, of course, Skylark, Randy Hudnall, people that I intertwine and interweave with these days too. David Daniels, Lena Girl, Melia Pana, who would eventually become my partner and would become like the best radio partner I've ever had. Charlie Espina, who's from Maui, is also one of the best partners that I've ever had. She's dynamic. But Mel and I had such a great time in radio. It wasn't even work. Come on, you arrive in the building, you set things up, you laugh, you sing out loud with your favorite songs while they're playing, while the mics are off. While the mics are off, because I suck at singing. And it was the best time. I could not have asked for a better job.
It was a party.
It was. And it turned out to be that when you went to birthday bashes were always the highlight every year. And we made so many friends along the way. We helped to launch so many careers along the way. While we were on the air there, some of the biggest hits, like John Cruz, Island Style.
Yeah.
Kelly Iraichel, Kawai Punahele.
Huge.
Navai Ho'olu'u Ke'a Nui Nui, Keahi Vai. You go through the list. Pure Heart. John Yamasato. Hi, John. Hi, Jake. Lopaka. Just some of the most revered times for me. And to be able to have a front seat to the release of some of the greatest music on earth.
What a time, huh?
It was. But it's interesting because that time is still going in a way. Because whenever I go to neighbor islands, when I go to places, they're playing background music. They're playing all the music that we used to play. And it's still being played. So when you're talking about Kapena, Willie K, Hoi Kane, Kelly Iraichel, Ho'okena, Makaha Sons of Ni'ihau, Israel Kamaka Viva Ole. Ka'au
Crater Boys.
Ka'au Crater Boys.
That was one of my favorites, actually.
Miss you, bro.
Yeah.
When Ka'au came out, it was just an ukulele and a guitar.
Really?
And two guys singing.
Geez.
This is before then, of course, they developed the whole band, right?
Yeah.
But, Ernie and Troy, they started to play, and Ernie had that distinctive voice. Troy had the lightning fingers on the ukulele, and they were just unstoppable.
They're just jamming.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
Oh, that's crazy.
To go see a lot of these guys, you'd have to go to the bars and nightclubs, right?
Yeah.
So with that came a considerable consumption of alcohol if you were in the audience, and even for the artists themselves. But and then depending on who was playing, depending on what nightclub it was, the place would be packed. Connie Kapila sessions would start, and it was just some of the. You look back at that, and you just go, "Wow." This might be of some of what it felt like to be part of Hawaiian music in the 1970s, when that whole section of people were out doing their music. The crowds were raging.
Kalapana,
Kalapana, CNK, Olomana, Brothers Casimiro, Sunday Mon, Brothers Casimiro, Sunday Mon
Sunday
Noah, to a degree. And the only reason why I say to a degree, they're legendary, don't get me wrong, but I'm thinking specifically nightclub, right?
Nightclub, yeah.
Polani Vaughn, Cyril, all the groups that were playing back then. Like, wow. To be able to be part of the 90s part of that was like, wow. So when I knew that you went to birthday bashes, you were front seat watching all of that happen.
Oh, that's crazy because like, so my wife and I, we just emceed a wedding, and normally I usually say no because I don't really want to MC. That's not my field, but like, I either, if I accept it, something conflicts that day, or I just don't accept it. This was the first time I actually accepted it and actually went there, and I actually had to think of a playlist for them. Had to kind of DJ a little bit too, which is like, man, I didn't expect to do that. But
Wow, do it all. Awesome.
But I was just thinking of the times back then, the 90s type of contemporary Hawaiian music, right? And I was like, I can throw this on and bangers, you know what I mean? People will dance to this, or during the reception time, people will really vibe to this, right? So playing Kaylee Rachel, you know what I mean? And
well, the list of music that you had to play as a DJ back then, that was crazy. That was, there's a ton of music being released back then. But yeah. So did it go well, the MC gig?
It did good. It's funny because I had a lot of local humor. The audience was a little different. They weren't as local as I thought they were, but they still got it. And they loved it, which is great. And I had games, thought of them off the fly.
Right.
Everything was all improv for me. And honestly, it didn't seem as hard because I do stuff like this, which is improv already. And it's easy for me to kind of just ease into something as long as I kind of get the ball rolling. So,
did you enjoy it?
I did.
Did you get what I call with MCs? Did you get into the zone where it's like you were fully connecting with the audience? Okay, welcome. Now you know what it's like to be on the stage, Waikiki Shell or events back at that time. That same feeling that you felt of connection, it's the same. Whether it's in a small audience like that or whether you're talking to 9,000 people wherever, that's the feeling. So, yeah. That's the one.
Well, which event did you ever feel like was maybe a little intimidating for you?
It's funny because I guess you go in with, when you're doing things and you get in the zone, and you're young, you kind of just you barrel through. You know that this is where I want to be. You can't wait to do whatever that event is. As you go a little bit and you start to worry about different things, give an example. Birthday bash, not a problem. Go on. Just got to know your timing. You introduce all of the acts that are coming on. You talk to the audience in between. You carry the energy from one artist leaving the stage till the next one gets on, and you're working with your group. For me, whether it's Lena Girl, Shannon, whoever it might be.
Yeah.
So you're in that zone and you just seem unstoppable. But when you get to other events and suddenly you're at the NFL Pro Bowl, and you're having to be in front of 30,000 people, and it's the first time that you're out there, that can be intimidating. So the worst part for me, and this still happens, it happened just a week and a half ago, a couple of weeks ago. I was asked to introduce the mayor of the city and county of Honolulu at his State of the City address. Okay. Now, that's a little bit of pressure. But the mayor of the city and county of Honolulu is also my former revered boss of Hawai'i News Now. So there's a certain respect there for him as a person. for him as, I guess you would say, my coach, my boss,
right.
and then mayor. And then there's the subject of time, because he has to be introduced and he has to start speaking at 11 o'clock and 30 seconds because TV is on and all the stations are tuning in and carrying it, or they're recording it for later use.
Right.
So I'm there. We're getting almost up to the time. We are ahead of schedule, which means that there's now extra time of waiting to get him on. So somebody else is talking. We're still 7 minutes away. I am starting to, what I think would be the feeling of hyperventilate. I am starting to sweat. I am starting to, my breathing is, I am starting to have to do that to relax because my throat is now going dry. You would never think that I would be nervous, because everybody goes, oh, you MC this kind of stuff all the time. You've done, 20,000, 50,000 in a stadium, Aloha Stadium, and a sellout crowd for UH Sports. But
Miss Hawai'i pageants.
Miss Hawai'i pageant.
Yep.
But for some reason, this got to me, and the worst part for me is waiting. Once I hear my own voice, I'm fine. I got it. I'm there. I know I'm in control. But 5 minutes away, I'm sitting there going, what the? Hurry up. Hurry up. I want to start. And for me, that's the most anxiety I will feel of the night.
Wow.
It's only for about 5-7 minutes, but it is the worst feeling for me in the world. I hate waiting.
Just that side, I can kind of see that for myself too.
Yeah.
Just that anticipation, because it could feel like forever, and especially like so when I was saying emceeing like weddings, I have done funerals before, so I've emceed funerals. When I first did an MC for a funeral, it was a little hard because, I'm kind of thinking like, what am I supposed to say to this family? You know what I mean? Especially they're mourning. Do I come in funny? Do I come in, saying inspirational words? What do I do? You know what I mean? Especially if I don't know the people as well. And that same thing, it was that waiting period. And it was literally like I had 10 minutes before I even started the ceremony, but it was like 10 minutes of thinking about certain things in order to be like, once I get there, I hope I'm not just going to drop the ball and say a joke that runs flat, you know what I mean? Or say something that's maybe try to be inspirational, but it just misses the mark completely. So I can see where that's coming from.
So let me give you a little bit of advice, because in some ways there's, and especially if you're at a funeral and you're not sure what to say, let me tell you that's normal. Sometimes when you're, as I go out and I'm a reporter for Hawai'i News Now, and depending on what's happening, if KC's reporting a big story and a fatal accident occurs, maybe they're going to send me out to that one. I get out there, there's been a fatality, the family is starting to find out. They're there, you've got to interview them, but it's hard. What can you say? And the last thing that you want to do is stick a microphone up to someone who's grieving and hurt. But on the other hand of that, you want people to understand that they're in pain because somebody is no longer there. So that's a tough thing to kind of go through. But 90% of the time, the people that are there that are grieving understand that and understand that you're there to get the word out. And 90% of the time, they just, it's okay, sure. I want to tell you about the person
So-and-so.
that's we're missing. So those are kind of tough. But those things, you get through them. Because at the time, you don't know what to say, and you're going, I don't know what I'm going to say, and it can weigh on you.
Yeah.
but you get through them and you learn, and the next time maybe it's just a touch bit easier. Do you like emceeing?
I don't know if I could do it for a living. I'll be honest.
I understand.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I enjoyed doing the wedding MC that I did, and then some of the, like a few funeral MCs, I enjoyed them. It's a lot of pressure, and so someone like me, I'm an accountant, right? So completely different. I'm working with books. I don't even have to talk to people sometimes, right? I just email.
That's a benefit.
I just email them,
right?
So like something like this, it's very out of my comfort zone because I'm talking, communicating with people. I'm very natural at it now, but it was very hard for me when I was growing up.
Good job.
Thank you. And it was something like, actually, so like public speaking, like back then, I'd say in junior high school, that was when I could kind of make that shift into doing it more, because I used to teach at like Sunday schools, and it was because like I wanted to force myself to kind of get out there. And the biggest critics, or I'd say critics, biggest like critics you can see in an audience are kids, honestly. And they were like under sixth grade, and they would just laugh, and you got to match their energy. I always tell people, like, when you're teaching kids, you have to meet them at their energy and go a little bit above that, because then when they see that, then they're gonna be more responsive, and they'll listen to you.
They'll engage.
But then, oh, bless you. But then if you have to bring the level down, you'll know how to bring it down, because they'll match that level. And it was hard because I was someone that was kind of shelled off, and I didn't really want to do that. But I learned to push past that and match their energy, or even go above it. So like now when I do stuff like this, it's easier for me, because I still get, like I still feel reserved. I don't want to do that, but I still get that place where, like, man, I don't really feel like going to that place, but I will push through it. I'll push through it, and then I'll make it even go a level above that. So like for weddings, it's kind of the same thing, matching that energy, but actually going a little bit above that, just so that you can kind of control whether or not like the audience is paying attention, making sure like, okay, we're going to go do speeches. Is everybody going to pay attention? You know what I mean?
Yep.
But then if everybody's too rowdy, then it's like, oh, you're going to lose the audience really quickly. So there was a time when I did that, and I enjoyed it, and I learned so much from it. And I bring it into podcasting because it's a lot easier, because it's one-on-one. I don't have a big crowd to actually have to cater to that. I can imagine 99,000 people, 50,000 people to have to match that energy, or even convey like a message. Wow, there's so many people talking at the same time, so many different crowds. It's hard. And so like emceeing, I'm not sure if I really want to go into it, but if people ask me, then I'll consider it. Well, I'll consider it more.
It is one of the most fun aspects of what I do. I enjoy it immensely, being able to exchange with people. But sometimes when you get to be the bigger crowds, you just know that not everybody's going to listen to you.
Yeah.
So you got to gauge that energy, and you find the sweet spot, and then you plow through. So, yeah, the love of emceeing. Good job.
Thank you. How about for yourself? Like, what made you want to go into like emceeing? Because broadcasting is kind of the same thing, but it's different, because now you have a crowd and you have to work. You have to do crowd work.
Right, but in radio, especially in early radio, that was key, because you were on the air, and clients wanted you to come over, and they had a grand opening. They just opened their store. They just redid their store. So they want you to come over, make noise, generate excitement, hopefully generate word of mouth, and then people will come and flock over to wherever it is that you're at.
Yeah.
So we were thrown into that a lot. But that is, if you ever want to get into emceeing, that is the best way to go about it. Because you got to be able to talk out there. I remember Randy Hudnall. He worked 7 to midnight for us on KCCN FM 100, our first 7 to midnight personality.
Okay.
Kaiser High School grad.
I remember his voice.
Happy guy. So happy. Talented. Could read a crowd. We used to tease him in a good way that, brah, you are amazing. They were doing a new development for housing, a new subdivision. This was out in just Mauka of Waipahu, I think, or in the newer part of Waipahu. His job basically was to go out there and sell dirt because that's all they could show, because it was all leveled, it was all cleared, it was just dirt, a couple of bulldozers. And so our job was to get on the air and tell people, and he would call into the radio station and do reports, and his was to get people interested in dirt. So eventually that would be the place of their new home. Randy out there, and people were pulling up left and right. And he was just bringing them in. We called him the Pied Piper of Aina because people were coming. He would go on, every half hour, say, come on down. You'd only get 60 seconds. Come on down. We're here. We're doing this, this, and this. This could be, you could be owners of this. This could be your news at the school nearby. And people flocked. So we looked at him and says, brah, if you can do that, we can do anything. And so
very true.
That's kind of how that came about from radio, the live aspect of it. But that also evolved because it became the way to see our audience and talk to and touch our audience in person. So if you know that if you've teamed up with E.K. Fernandez, there is the carnival, there's the 50th State Fair down at Aloha Stadium. You know that your audience is going to be there. So you tell them all to come down. And then once you get down there, you cannot hide backstage. In a radio studio, you can hide behind your headphones and the microphone and not go out. But once you go down there to someplace like that in person, it kind of takes the veil off. So you see them, but at the same point,
they see you.
Exactly. So that's where
it's like a Wizard of Oz moment.
Kind of.
Yeah.
But the key was, and I was told this all throughout, be yourself. Crash Ki Aloha. Sorry, Skylark was first. Skylark, be yourself. Crash Ki Aloha, be yourself. I used to talk like this all the time. My program director, Crash, called me in. He says, Bill, I like your voice. Really? I think you have one of the best voices in radio. Wow, really, Crash? You should use it sometime. That was the message to me. Be yourself, use your own voice. Rick Blangiardi, mayor, general manager. I was wearing an Aloha shirt, but I was changing to put on a suit because of having to do weather, and all the weather guys wore suits. He came over to me, put his hand on my shoulder, and he says, just be yourself. It's okay. And he walked away. I changed back into my Aloha shirt. Did it? It was fine. There are times where now, if I have to step into the anchor chair where I have to wear the suit, I have to wear the, nicer, because there's an expectancy there.
Right.
But there was a teaching moment there. And so that's one that Rick gave me. Hi, Mayor. Hi.
Do you wear a little shirt underneath the suit?
Yes. Actually, I did. Because I'm not in the 6 o'clock news. So therefore, when I had to anchor, Annalisa Burgos went on vacation for Sunrise Weekends. Doing weather, I can wear an Aloha shirt. So I figured combination of that suit, Aloha shirt underneath.
Nice.
Worked perfect. I actually got compliments off of that. So I went, oh, okay, this works. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. So, yeah.
It's a nice combination. I can imagine it.
I'd like to think it is. My wife has told me, she goes, we need to get you some new shirts. I says, I know, honey. I know. Thank you. That's why I put you in charge, because I cannot choose Aloha shirts to save my life.
Aloha shirts work on you, though.
Thank you.
Just like Van Oz, though. It works on you.
Thank you. That's awesome.
I want to go into the Hoku Hanohano Awards, because that's something that you've hosted. How did you get into doing that? What was the impact for you?
Alan Yamamoto was producing. And I think it was Brickwood Galuteria that was the president of the Hawaii Academy of Recording Arts. He had not yet run for state senator yet, but he was a Hoku Award winner himself, Brickwood, and he was president of the Academy. I was asked to announce at the awards. And so 1996, that was my first year. I am having one of those moments.
Oh, really? No.
Oh, yeah, because this is live television. It is the biggest awards show for the Hawaiian Islands and Hawaiian music. And, you know, since the 1970s, it's been revered. So you better be on top of your game. You're going to do this one. So I am nervous. I am trying to stay calm. One of the biggest groups of the time was the Makaha Sons of Ni'iho. They had beforehand split apart. Moon, John, and Jerome, Israel. Israel was trying to do his solo career. And so the breakup or the separation of the two entities was not, everybody was talking about how, you know, they should be together, and but Israel's music was taking off, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. During the 96 Hoku Awards, Israel was singing. And that's that magic moment when Moon, John, and Jerome came out of the audience. They stood up there and sang the rest of Kaleo Hano with Israel. The whole place. Kelly E. Reichel's next to me. He is in tears, buckets. People are bawling. They can't believe it, because this moment in Hawaiian music history represents ho'oponopono on many different levels. It represents of how the music can bring people together. A group who many people thought would never be together ever again was on stage for everybody. And after that, there was a genuine, they piled on Israel. Israel was quite large, and they just surrounded and hugged him, and it represented so many things to the audience of aloha, of putting things behind, of coming together. These four boys who became one of the biggest entertainer groups ever in Hawaiian music history. So with that, the whole place was just crying, bawling. And if you ever heard the recording, you can hear it in my voice. I mean, my voice is just cracking. And we go to commercial break. And everybody says how they remember being there in that moment. That was one of those, I remember where I was when I saw that happen. So that was my first Hoku Awards. What an introduction.
Yeah.
But I guess I did good enough because they invited me back. So how this has turned into is that I have now become, they call it the voice of, they call it the voice of God. Not in a religious sense, but just in that I'm not seen, but I come out of nowhere in the program.
They hear you.
They hear you.
Yeah.
So, so I get to do, ladies and gentlemen, and now please welcome the president of the Hawaii Academy of Recording Arts, Brickwood Galuteria. So I get to be that person now, because it really wasn't there. They had MCs, but it kind of evolved for broadcast. So I did that, and along with the academy, we were able to find a sweet spot to make it work for, 20 years. Over 20 years that I was able to host that show. And so I'll be back there again this year. It's going to be at the Hawaii Theater. Wow. July 1st.
Okay.
And so can't wait to be there for that. They are still solidifying a bunch of stuff, but can't wait to be there with Hawaii's recording artists. And it's still, for just about everybody, it's a changing moment when you win one of those. It is acknowledgement from your peers that you're doing well. But to do well in just music is one thing, but to do well in the music of Hawaii, because there's the language component, there is the cultural component, there's so many different components, so many different genre now that is flourishing. It's not just Hawaiian music, it's Hawaii music. So R&B, rock, you name it.
Yeah.
There's a different genre for it. But that Hoku Awards is one of the biggest smiles that I have, especially when we first set out in radio. Skylark reminded me that we are here to enhance, to promote the music of our islands, and to make sure that the music of our islands continues to flourish in whatever form that it takes. We do a special emphasis on Hawaiian music because of the language that needs to be taken care of the uniqueness of Hawaiian music. So, but at least I do, and I say we support all genre of music here in our islands. But yes, we do put a special emphasis on the music of our islands in the Hawaiian language, or the more Hawaiian style.
And it's crazy because the award ceremony is, like, if you think about it, excuse me, a lot of people come here, they think about food, but they also think about the music of Hawaii, right? So when someone wins an award from the Na Hoku Hanohano Awards, it's a representation of this is someone who represents us, So it's a huge honor, and then to be able to MC it, to be the voice for it, you know what I mean? Then people will come and go, wow, that's the voice of the award ceremony.
I'm thankful that they entrust me with their event. We sit down, we go over things, and as time goes on, I come in, they call me, and I come into a meeting, and they say, okay, you, same thing. And then they move on. I went, okay, done. Okay, cool. I can, maybe we'll have a small meeting, but for the most part, I've been allowed to operate in this space, whether it be for Hoku Awards, getting to work for a few years with the National Football League, for the Pro Bowl, being the in-house voice of that. Miss Hawaii. To be able to MC for these ladies that are doing so well for themselves and for the community and for what they want to do. It's like, yeah, hey, whatever, I'm in. So I've been proud to do that. Those have been wonderful. And there's a bond between me as an announcer and the Miss Hawaii's, because I get to be the first person to actually acknowledge them and announce their name.
Yeah.
And they remember that moment forever.
Are you hosting them this year?
No, I've taken a break, and so they've got their own people that are in place, and so very supportive of the Miss Hawai'i Scholarship Pageant. And I was hoping to be a judge this year. I was hoping to be a judge this year. The schedule doesn't quite fit. So we are hoping for next year, fingers crossed. So, but Now, there's where the nervousness comes in. I've never been a judge before. Not at Miss Hawaii. Not at that level. So there's a lot of work, a lot of research work that I have to do to be able to be ready for that.
Well, luckily because I know a lot of the contestants this year, they don't have you as a judge, so. But
Yeah.
they might be afraid of whoever else is a judge this year, actually. So.
Well, I'm hoping that they aren't afraid because, and they should never be afraid of a judge. It's just that the judge, the reason why they're picked is because they're knowledgeable in things like music, performance, public speaking, community work, which I'm appreciative that they asked me that because those are all the areas that I thrive in. Those are all the areas that I know.
Yeah.
So they've got to be genuine. They've got to be hardworking. They've got to believe that they can be a positive force in the community in what they do. And I've seen some of our young women become Miss Hawaii and take that and run. You know, depending on what their platform is. But they're with that platform. Shoot, you know what? I know that they have a platform, but I'm sorry, Miss Hawaii winners and women that have held the title have gone beyond their platforms because they do so much more for the community than I think they realize.
Yeah, even now, 'cause like I said, I know a lot of the contestants now, and they're doing amazing things, and they've done amazing things even before they went into pageantry. So, shout outs to the ones I know, because I don't want to sound like I'm playing favorites, but
Right.
yeah, but you know who you are.
There you go.
And I'm in group chats with them, so they know who I am. I want to talk about the UH athletics, because you've done game day coordinating for them
Yes.
for since 1999.
Woohoo!
So
Gosh, has it been 23, 24 years already?
yeah,
Okay, so that one I started in 1999. I have had the opportunity to be rather close to the Outrigger organization back before when it was family owned.
oh wow,
And I was able to know the family. I got to be the face for Outrigger television. So in all of the Outrigger hotels,
wow, okay,
I had a show. So whenever you came in, you could see CBS, NBC, ABC, and click. There was the Outrigger channel. And the Outrigger channel took them to Pearl Harbor, took them to the Windward side, took them to different places, different beaches that they might be interested in visiting and doing the same thing that we were showing them. So, and then I've emceed concerts and stuff for them and events. So what they did is that one day, Nancy Daniels, who was the promotions director at the time in 1999, can you MC a basketball game for us? I go, what do I do? I've never emceed a basketball game. Just, we'll do the halftime. You do something during the other parts of the games, and then the awards are coming up at the end of the game. Sounds easy enough. Okay. Now it doesn't sound like a basketball game. It sounds like a regular MC job.
yeah,
Sure. Had such a blast doing it. And by the end of the night, Nancy, thank you very much. I will see you later. Nancy says, okay, good. I turn. There's a couple of guys from University of Hawaii that come up to me and they go, so you're here. Why are you here? I said, I'm here because Outrigger asked me to. This is okay. You're doing this for them. I says, yes. This is, can you do this for us? Excuse me? Can you come and do all of our games like you did this tonight? Okay, and that started a conversation that has lasted 23 years. At one time, I had men's, women's volleyball, men's, women's basketball, and football. 5 sports. That became a bit much. So when I got diagnosed with colon cancer, colorectal cancer, go get your checkups if you're 40. So I had to pull back. My wife says, you need to stop working as much. You need to drop something. Something's got to go. I said, it's okay. So I brought it down to 3 sports. And then as we've been going forward, then we've been building between 3 and 4 sports. 5 was a bit much back at that time.
Yeah.
Even when I was healthy, before I was diagnosed with cancer. So I have been able to be there through some of the most dynamic times of UH sports. I was there in the early days before June Jones. Timmy Chang, and then June came in. June was coach. Timmy Chang beat the NCAA record. I remember that night vividly at Aloha Stadium. There through the Colt Brennan days. There through several athletic directors. Through several coaches, like Coach Wilton for men's volleyball. Now Coach Charlie Wade. Wow. Dave Shoji, Vince Gu, some of the most revered names in University of Hawaii sports. I've been able to work alongside Jim Leahy.
Oh, wow.
Not in the broadcast. Sorry, I shouldn't say work. Well, no, we've worked in the same building, so okay, I'll take that. Jim Leahy and I would have conversations before game. I'd come in, I'd start to set up my stuff and get with my crew, and we'd meet, and then I'd go over and we'd have conversations. And over the years, he was always complimentary of how I performed with the crowds in the past. And of course, he is the sports announcer for Hawaii.
Yeah.
His voice is synonymous with UH athletics, with athletics overall.
Yeah.
And then so is Kanoa now. But when I first stepped back, the first time that I came back into the Stan Sheriff Center after my colon cancer treatment, my first day back, I probably lost about 25 pounds.
Wow.
And so I come in, and haven't been in Stan Sheriff for a little while, and I'm feeling a little bit nervous. So Jim Leahy sees me walk in. He hasn't seen me in a little while. He waves me over. Jim, Billy, sit down. So I sit down, and he starts to talk to me. How are you doing? How are you feeling? How do you feel tonight? I told him. And he goes, okay, first things first. You and I are cancer brothers. We are cancer brothers for the rest of our lives. We have that connection. We've gone through it. We know what it's like. We know the anxieties to go along with it. So here's your kuleana. I'm handing this to you to reach out to others that have the same thing that we have, and also let them know that they have a family. We watch out for each other. And I sat there and I listened to him and I looked at him. He goes, you and I are connected for the rest of our lives. I did not know what to say. I started to tear up. But he was right. And so since then, if I find out, and I go, what? He goes, just if somebody comes up, confides in you that they have had in the past, give them the biggest hug. That's the beginning of letting them know, you know what? We're here together. We got this. Since then, I've remembered that. So I continue to do that in Jim Leahy's memory. But after he talked to me, I felt so energized. I felt so ready. And I had one of the most amazing nights that night, on my first night back, in that Stan Sheriff Center, because of Jim Leahy. to see the big wins, to see the athletes who come back and give back after they've had their time at UH, to see Timmy now as our head coach. I mean, that's legacy building, and it's happening. And I've told past athletic directors, and Dave Matlin knows this. Dave has done an amazing job in his seat as athletic director. I'm here. Anything you need, let me know. And so it continues.
Wow, that's amazing.
Those Colt Brennan days, though, there's nothing like it. From the tops of the yellow section at Aloha Stadium, people would roll up their newspapers. They would keep their newspapers all week long, or for at least a couple of weeks, because they knew they would bring them down to Aloha Stadium and they would throw them off of the top tiers of Aloha Stadium, stream down, and you see all of those come down. The whole field littered when we win.
That was me.
You couldn't even see the field anymore. See?
Yep, that was me.
Those were magic days.
Yep.
Those, nothing like them. And there will never be another night quite like that. I'm hoping that we will exceed that moment.
Yeah.
You know, but that moment in that time, that was
emulated.
Yeah, that was a period of time that none of us will be able to forget if we were there.
Yeah.
And it won't happen just like that again. But what I'm hoping is that Timmy knows what that was like. You know, he will be wanting to exceed what he was able to do. Somebody will be able to step into that quarterback spot. Somebody will be able to be defensive, offensive, special teams, and will take it and go and be on National Football League later or XFL. And so those are the moments to create now.
What was it like? Because recently the Aloha Stadium they closed its doors. But then the thing is, I mean, they're changing it up, I guess. What was it like to see that closure, and like, what do you hope that the next iteration of Aloha Stadium will be?
Okay, let me deal with this in separates. It was a bittersweet goodbye. So when on that last day that I left from covering the Aloha Stadium, I kind of went around the field, the bottom, spent maybe about 10 minutes just by myself. You know, you see it in the movies where a person's looking at an area and they can see a fuzzy recollection of that moment in time.
Yeah.
So for me, it was being able to stand on different parts of the field. I know exactly where I was when Timmy broke the record. I know where I was when when Hawaii beat BYU. You know, I was standing next to Vili the Warrior, and my hands were all blistered because we had been beating on the drums so hard with the crowd making noise. I know where we were when we would lose a game. In the last seconds, it looked like we would win. And even those are moments, but those, you can't win all the time. In order to know how to win, you got to know how to lose.
Yeah.
And you hope that the losses are less than the wins. So as I went around that stadium and remembered all those things, after the games, there was one time when my son's third grade class, all his classmates and the parents, we won at auction a chance to have 50 people, 50 tickets, parking, catered, and we had won it, and we had brought my son in to have him and his classmates run around the field as third graders. And you hope, gosh, will I see you on this field one day?
Yeah.
So you flash back to all of those things before you leave. And you, with a heavy heart, turn, you walk out of the stadium. I know that I have that memory, and my son has those memories. So he'll have those memories even though I'm gone. What do I hope for? They're playing with the numbers. 50,000, 30,000 people. What will that mean money-wise? I don't know what I would want. Would I want the biggest stadium ever in the history of Hawaii? I would love that, but we got to be able to afford it. We have to be able to run it, et cetera, et cetera. So what are my hopes? I hope that we have a new stadium that works, that is the hub of activity, that becomes the place where Hawaii wants to play. But more than that, I want it to be a place there where other teams walk in and say, wow, I wish we had this. That's what I want. A place where kids and their families, adults and their families can come and cheer on UH, be a sea of green or a sea of white in that stadium. See touchdowns, see people come together, soccer events, monster trucks, concerts. I would like to see the best concerts in the world in that place. I got a chance to see Michael Jackson from the ground and from high above Aloha Stadium in a plane flying over when the ending fireworks went off. I got to see so many artists in there. I actually got to play in front of 22,000 people as a drummer during the halftime of the Aloha. No, it was the Hawaii. It was the Aloha Bowl. It wasn't the Hula Bowl. I think it was the Aloha Bowl. And me That's and amazing. Lena Girl, Davey D, Meliapana, Michael Lowe, Radical Rob, Kelly Boyd Lima, Brother Sam from Vaihi.
Wow.
So we were all on that stage as all-star band.
Wow.
And got to play. So I can actually say that I played in front of 22,000 people. Nobody will ever remember it, and I don't know if I was good or not, but I can actually say that I did that.
Yeah, you had the experience.
Yeah. So what am I hoping for? A place that we can all be proud of. That was a long-winded answer, yeah.
No, but that was good. Because there's so much to that, you know what I mean? Like, so many memories from that place. So when they closed their doors, it was bittersweet for myself as well, because, like it made me remember all those times, like with my family, go to UH games, or, I never got to go to the Pro Bowl, unfortunately. I wish I did now, but, it brought me back years, good memories, like a lot of happy memories. So, just hoping like this new iteration of the stadium is something that people will be proud of. That's my hope for.
I've gotten a chance to work with the Stadium Authority and with University of Hawaii being the client and going over there for games. And I just hope that they are able to come up with a way for it to work. And I'm just going to say this out loud. I hope that we come up with a way so that way it's beneficial for everyone, not only for the state of Hawaii or whoever is going to run the stadium, but also for University of Hawaii as well. Did I get up on my soapbox? I'm sorry. Okay, thank you very much.
People will remember that. Kind of want to go into something you said recently, because you actually did a commencement speech for Mid-Pac Institute 2020.
Yep.
You said something really interesting. You said, happy is our priority, rich and successful are relative. And having rich and success without happiness sucks. And then you also drove home the point with make happy memories. And this was something that you were directing to your son, right? What does that message mean?
I am hoping that when everybody says that they're happy, that they're, if you are rich, you've got money, you got nothing to worry about, and you're not happy, that can almost seem like the worst thing. It's like you've got what you want, but it's not fulfilling what you need. So, and then on the other hand, you've got people who don't have much money, but yet they can have the greatest happiness in the world. Maybe they find that happiness through family, through what they have, what they're doing. For me, my happiness has always been work. I have been lucky. I'm in a job that I love. Loved the years in radio. Taught me so much. Didn't realize how much it was going to set me up for TV. Now that I'm in TV, I'm finding that a lot of the things that I learned in radio are useful. That sometimes other people may not have. When you're in TV, there's lots of people do push buttons to make everything work. When you're radio, no, it's just you. You got a producer? Oh, you lucky. But it's having to talk, having to switches and doing stuff and making the magic happen. But it's just kind of you there behind. So everybody says, hope you're successful. Successful is relative. Everybody's successful is different. But if you're happy, then at least you've achieved something that you can say, okay, that's what I hope for my son. That's what I hope for everybody. Because, man, if you can be the richest person, you can be the owner of Facebook, have tons of money, and if you are not happy, dude, life sucks. It's, at least to me. Yeah. Although I wouldn't mind having that much money, but that would present its own problems. But,
different set. Yeah. Different set of problems.
Yeah. But if you can be happy with what you have, or happy towards what you're working forward to, then there it is. Especially in Hawaii. To be happy here is great, because you go to other places over in the continental United States, boy, people are not as happy there. Have you ever noticed that? They're not. They're just, you go to some places and they're just angry. It's like, no, come here. But leave that angriness somewhere else, okay? Thank you very much.
Oh, they come here to...
I want to, before you go into that, I want to say I appreciate, I've never had anybody ask me about my own words, more or less quote me. I feel special today. I feel, thank you.
Well, I feel bad because I lost my voice.
No worries. It happens. It happens.
But yeah, I mean, like you were saying, wow, it's getting harder actually. Like you were saying, for happiness, like I get what you're saying, because like success or money, all that stuff, it goes away in time, especially when you're dead, because you don't get to see that. And memories are something that people cling on to. I'm kind of thinking about the original Blade Runner. And there was a scene in the original Blade Runner, kind of towards the end, where the android, forgot his name, but he's talking to Harrison Ford. And in that moment, he's doing a famous line about tears and rain, right? And he's talking about these memories that he had, something very memorable to him, but it's in his dying moment. And they're happy memories, but in the end, they flow away just like tears and rain. But it's something that he could cling on to, and it's something that he could convey to Harrison Ford's character. But like rich and success, it's something that can be brought up in an article, but it doesn't really represent being in a moment, and that's where those happy memories, like you're driving home, make happy memories. That's something that's really, it's powerful, because those memories cling to people more than rich or success.
So it's been interesting, because I think in this last 3 years, and this is the pandemic, it's a reset button. There are people who don't like that word reset and pandemic in the same sense. But it's allowed me to step back a little bit and actually appreciate and take time to make sure that I'm making those happy moments. Because you don't just wait for them to happen. You got to kind of work towards them.
Yeah.
I had never thought that I would be able to go to Europe. My wife and I were supposed to go on a honeymoon to Europe, but that kind of got, when 9/11 happened, That went out the door.
Oh.
So we, instead of going around the world, we went around the golf course on Molokai. Hi, honey. So that's what we did. But my son, who's in college, studying abroad, applied, got it. So we had to drop him off in London. So really, we're going to drop him off. We're going to London. Let's pool the money and we just bare bones. And so we one backpack, one small suitcase, packed very small. We planned our meals. We weren't splurging. We were just, but we got to do it. And we got to make a bunch of happy memories and photographs to look at to remind us of where we went and what we did and the conversations that it created. So it was a nice time to make memories. These days at Hawai'i News Now, it's like we started up weekends. I got to be part of the original Sunrise crew from the very beginning, even though I was in the radio studios. And then now on Sunrise weekends, I'm getting to be able to be the original again. Wow. It's like being original cast of a musical. So I get to be on the original crew as a weekender. And so that first day, taking pictures of us all together, working that first show, being on when certain stories are breaking. I mean, those are moments. Those are timestamps.
Yeah.
So when you get those timestamps, you got to make sure that you take a moment to smell the roses, even though you're swirling in chaos and everything's going on. It's just like that. Wow, this is happening right now, and I'm here.
Yeah.
It's a great acknowledgement.
What would you like people to remember you by? Because you've done so much. Like you've done, right now you're in Hawai'i News Now, weekend reporter for Sunrise. Radio broadcasting, huge pioneer in radio broadcasting. But, there's so much that you've been a part of, and there's so much more that you're giving. I mean, what would you want people to remember you by?
Wow, I've never thought of that before. It is kind of a morbid question because then that would mean then I'm gone. So,
but you're still here. So
right. No.
yeah.
But
I just want to reiterate.
taking that into consideration, I think what I would want people to think of me would be that brother was a right-on guy. He was a good man. If they thought that for me, I'm good. I appreciate the word pioneer next to my name. Thank you. Yeah. If somebody's, I had this the other day. I've had this several times in the last year. I've had football players come up to me at football games, after the football games. These are previous football players. And they've come up to me and they've told me, Bilibi. I turn, oh, Mo! And he told me, I remember you saying my name here. I did this at Aloha Stadium, as a matter of fact. It was a couple of games back. And he says, I remember you saying my name before me running out here. You don't know how much that means. Those moments to have that. And it's nice to be thought of in those ways. And it makes me smile. Somebody said that they remember me back in the radio, or they like what I do now.
Yeah.
Just know that is appreciated so much. Thank you. If they think of me as just, oh, brother's a nice guy. I'm good with that.
Definitely. Well, Billy, thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciated.
Thanks for letting me be here.
Yeah.
after watching the show and actually being able to see some of this stuff in person, I love the Darth Vader, by the way.
Thank you.
I now want to go home and go drink sake. And I'm actually very hungry for sushi. And I love Japanese food.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes.
Oh.
My wife is Japanese. I used to go back and forth to Japan all the time, but now with it so busy, I don't get to go as much. But thank you for allowing me to come and sit and talk story.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. Yeah, this was a huge honor for myself and for my wife, and thank you to Tracy. Thank you to Tracy, who's sitting over there, actually.
Tracy is my publicist. Bodyguard. Thank you very much. I call her boss lady. When I was working with Merrie Monarch, short story.
Yeah.
We got time? You okay?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So, Merrie and I are working together on Hawaii 105. I'm about ready to go on Hawai'i News Now and do my entertainment. So there's a camera that's up in the corner of the room, and I'm starting to look up at it. We're in between songs. So as I'm looking up at the camera, getting ready, I see her out of the corner of the eye. Somebody comes in, taps her on the shoulder, and tells her, come with them. So I kind of noticed that. I said, okay. So waiting. And maybe we're about 5 minutes away from broadcast, but I'm checking the lighting and the camera and everything. She comes in. We're 30 seconds away. I look at her, and she's crying. She's been crying. I go. She goes. I went. That's my don't move, stay right there. I do the report, I get done, I turn off the microphones, and I go, what? They let me go. Why?
Uh-oh.
And she starts to say something, and then the program director comes in and says, general manager wants to see you. And I, again, look at her and I go. She goes, all right, wait. So I go into the studio, go into the GM's office, and they had, the explanation was that we've decided to let Merrie Monarch go. I'm like, why? Well, and so the show, and so, so we are thinking that we'd like you to stay on board, and you'll do the show now solo from now on. This is the week before Thanksgiving.
Oh.
Our ratings are number 2 in the market. We're doing well. They've decided to make this change. And I'm like,
oh.
So I go, and I'm hesitating, and they go, well, you know what? Why don't you take the rest of the week off? Oh, it's Thanksgiving week. There's only 3 days in the work week. It's a Monday. So what? Oh, take the next 2 days off. And go and think it over, and we'll talk about it on Monday when you come back. So, okay. Tracy, my publicist, we had already been talking because we went to lunch, and I says, I want to find a way to work with you. You are so wonderful. We've worked at events kind of, sort of close together.
Yeah.
I'd like to do something together. She says, okay. That was 2 weeks before this happened with Merrie. So when this happened, my wife was the first call. She was the second. It was like, I have a problem and I need some help. She's like, sure, what can I help you with? I'm leaving radio and I need to control the message. And she's like, immediately, what? 5 minutes, I will be back on the phone with you. I says, okay. She was back in like 4. So we're talking on my days off immediately right after that happened. I come back on Monday and they say, okay. I'll say, wait. So is Mel coming back, or is we still at what we were at before? Oh, no, we've decided to let her go. We're moving in a different direction, and so we'd like you to do the show just like we mentioned to you before. I says, oh, okay, wait a minute, hang on, stop. And then I go, grabbed out of my bag a piece of paper. I says, this is my letter of resignation. It is effective immediately. I want my paycheck for the last, and a back pay for the last, 20 years that I've been working here in my hands by 5 o'clock this afternoon, or I call my lawyer. Their eyes went big, and then I said, "Thank you very much. I'm leaving now. I'll go get my stuff. I'm pal." So my thinking was like, if they were doing this to my sister, I didn't want to work for somebody who was going to be like that just before Thanksgiving, just before the holidays, with no notice. So Tracy was instrumental in helping me because the backlash was starting. Everybody was calling up. They were going to boycott the music, boycott the radio station. And Tracy brought it to my attention. She goes, "Do you see what's happening? Are you seeing this in real time? There is a backlash starting. What do you want to do about it?" And I opened up social media and I started looking at it. I go, okay, we need to control this. So with her, work together, release a statement that I did not want a backlash. I didn't want people to protest our firing. Because if you protest the station, you are affecting the Hawaii music recording artists who I've been given the kuleana to promote, protect, help. And if we do that, then we affect the very people that we're working towards and have been for the last 20 years. We were effective in stemming that. The people in public got it right away. And so that was a difficult time. In the meantime, I still had to show up on television. So I went to down. I says, "Hey, I've got some time off. Can I come and do my reports live in studio?" They said, "Sure, come on in," because they've been telling me for every day, "I wish you were here. I wish we had the radio station here in the building."
Yeah.
So I started doing my reports. And then after the second week, I was called into Rick Blangiardi's office. He says, "So, I understand that you're not in radio anymore and that you're kind of camped out on our morning show." I says, "Well, I still had to do the reports." And just walk through the door. Just walk in through the door. Here's the papers. Let's just get this done. Thank you, sir. Rick picked me up. I so much appreciated that. But that, Tracy, boss lady, thank you.
You're welcome.
So that's the story behind Tracy and my relationship with Poi Planet, because they helped me at a key time. And look at Merrie now; she's doing so much good stuff. And her Mother's Day show sells out. She's back to doing those again.
Nice.
And I have never had a partner like her. Never will have a radio partner ever like her again. And just hi, sissy, I love you. Okay, just so you know, Mels, thank you very much. So that's my Meleapana Tracy story.
Shout out to Mele. Shout out to Tracy, who's right there, literally your bodyguard.
Right.
So Billy, do you have any like your social media, anything you want to talk about, like what's next for you?
Okay, so I'm on weekends on Hawai'i News Now. So Wednesday, Thursday, Fridays, I'm on Hawai'i News Now, regular, just like entertainment news, unless I'm sitting in for Lacey or Guy. Or Casey.
Yeah.
I'm on the weekends, 7 to 9 a.m., Saturday, Sunday mornings. But on Saturdays, right after we get out of sunrise, I go sit at my desk and we have Billy V live. It was on the air since the pandemic out of my house, but with this change in having to do weekends now, so we actually have brought it down to the station. So we're down there now.
Okay.
So I am on the air at 11 a.m. Hawaii time, Saturday mornings on the live stream.
It's amazing.
Billy V 808 on Instagram, Billy V Sunrise on Facebook. I'm working on the TikTok page.
Okay, what are you gonna do on the TikTok page?
I don't know. Shuffle dancing.
Sorry. I just had a visual.
I'm not going to ask what that visual was.
Chase is gonna work with you on that.
Tuesdays. No, Naked Fridays.
No.
Naked Fridays. That's a whole nother
While you're doing the weather report.
I'll do it in a malo. No, don't quote me on that.
On Billy V Live.
Waiting for my news director to call.
Rick's gonna call you real quick. What did you talk about? Naked Fridays? The real Aloha Fridays?
Yeah. My news director Scott's gonna light up my phone here. So no, Billy V Live on Saturdays, and we're working on a bunch of other stuff. Tracy's in charge of the other stuff.
Okay. Awesome.
We've got to do this. Bang, 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 bang. So she's gonna wait.
The TikTok. I'm actually
Shuffle dancing.
shuffle dancing.
I love those. I don't know why. I do.
Yeah, let me know if you need help with that.
Okay, brah. There you go.
let me know.
Thank you.
I'll have my voice back by then. But yeah, let me know if you need help with that.
Hey, not only am I hopeful that your voice comes back full soon, because I know how that is. I do the volleyball championship court announcing for volleyball games at Hawaii Convention Center for USA Volleyball. And it's all day long, 2 days, 7 in the morning till like 10 at night.
Oh my gosh.
So I get those days where the voice is just like that.
Oh man.
Seeing all the podcasts and all the people that have come before and that have signed the board.
Oh
and
yeah,
everything,
thank you for noticing that. Actually,
I looked at it. I went, wow,
yeah,
nice.
some awesome people. I had BJ Penn, who thank you so much, who did Just Scrap, if you ever see it on the board. That's actually top left.
Nice.
Just Scrap over there. I had a lot of awesome people on this podcast, so it's great to have something like this, like a little like yearbook, because our idea was like, it's like a yearbook, people could just sign it, and then it's just for me, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's just something that can hang up and people can see it and they go, wow, that's so cool, and then you're gonna be part of that as well.
Congratulations. Now I say this, but I'm going to change it because of our conversation. Usually I say to people, continued success.
Yeah.
But continued success and happiness for you.
Oh, thank you so much. So once again, thank you, Billy V, for coming on the show and talking about all these amazing stories. I really appreciate it. But as people know, we always do a kampai at the end, so we always do a cheers.
Yay!
Which is why I got more water. So Billy, this is to you. This is to your success. This is to some incredible things you have in the future. And what you're doing now is you're giving back to people. And you've always given back to people, but now like you're really paying it forward. And thank you for coming on the show and talking about that. So,
Oh, brah.
Kampai.
Kampai.